Joining me on Airmic TV is James Pryke, partner, retail property and casualty at Lockton. James, welcome. We're currently facing a hard market. What do you believe are the drivers in the casualty underwriting space?
Well, the casualty space has changed over the last 3 or 4 years, and significantly the US casualty market has hardened due to some significant US litigation, and insurers have very much withdrawn their limits and very much focused on rate, with certain insureds not able to actually obtain the insurance that they were looking for, the risk transfer they were looking for. International, to a slightly lesser degree, has also been heavily impacted by these losses, and insurers have responded in a similar but not quite such a dramatic way. The UK hasn't been impacted by the same level of losses that the US and international have. However, there have been some changes, and we're now seeing some hardening of the UK casualty market. I think there have been certain losses that have come from coverages that weren't being traditionally risk transferred, or premium being received by insurers for things like financial loss and professional indemnity, where things could be as high as 10, 15, 20 million. Now insurers are listening to them, removing them down to 1 or 2 million. And we've got things like going through like the GDPR that really we're focusing on potential mass litigation and exposure that insurers hadn't been underwriting fully from the Data Protection Act. And they're now looking to restrict the coverage on that basis, and therefore really try and push that into other areas such as the cyber market or potentially other financial lines markets. This has really resulted in a coverage tightening, a slight increase in rate to increase their combined ratio, and equally looking at limit, where 10 years ago people were looking for 100 million primary limits. Now people are really focused on 25 or even 10 million, which is reducing the amount of competition available and starting to drive rates up. The cost of capacity towards the excess markets has also started to diminish slightly, where it was commonplace to get a very, very cheap excess employer's liability or general liability. It's not significantly changing, but I can see it starting to harden. And obviously the big elephant in the room is obviously COVID.
Yeah, so picking up on COVID-19, obviously the big issue of the day, how are casualty underwriters dealing with pandemic risk?
So the pandemic risk is hitting insurers in a number of different ways, and to give certain insurers their credit, they are actually trying to help and assist clients that businesses are completely turned and flipped upside down by offering some form of reduction in premium. Equally, they have been seeing a form of reduction in claims. However, other areas such as the business interruption area have obviously seen a massive increase in claims and losses overall, and the challenge for insureds is trying to determine the level of exposure they have going forward and how insurers are looking to be able to underwrite that. The reality is that certain insurers feel it's going to be the next asbestos, and other insurers feel it's actually going to be the next Y2K. Somewhere between those two is going to be the reality. Reinsurers are very much limiting or trying to limit the treaties and putting a blanket COVID exclusion on liability policies going forward. I'm pleased to say many of the insurers are pushing back on this and trying to ensure that they're allowed to underwrite it, and they're therefore looking for additional information to review the exposure and to be able to provide the cover where they can. There are certain sectors, unfortunately, healthcare, hospitality, where it is very likely that insureds will have a restriction going forward from their renewal, and it'll be interesting of the 1/1 reinsurance market to see what happens in that area and space. But it is an area that is changing day by day, and it's a continuing area to watch.
So looking at it from the client's perspective and based on your insights, what do you think are the pressure points that clients should be aware of and prepare for in the renewal season?
I think information, we always say early, and information is key. There's no new trick to this. The reality is that if you've got the best information that's available, underwriters, risk engineers can actually review and look and make a decision above and beyond potential other insureds, and enable them to give the cover. There are issues still in remaining to do with sanctions and these forms of elements, and some of these queries that can be asked by the insurers 2 weeks out from renewal are just impossible to be able to go and ask all the stakeholders of the business. So it's really early engagement, looking at it across the piece and coming together on it. I have to say that, if I look at the property and the financial lines market, they are significantly harder than the casualty market. So there is a real need to combine and pool risk towards insurers to be able to get the best overall deal for insureds.
Okay, thank you very much for your insights, James. Thank you.
Thank you.